Coeur School District, number 76, Board of Education, regular meeting to order on March 17th, 2015. If you'll please stand and join us in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Linda Bailey.
Here.
Pam Greiner.
Here.
Brenda Cagle.
Here.
Val Reagan. Here. Julie Troop.
Here.
Rebecca Kern. Here. Judy Strong.
Present. Tonight, we're looking at student focused, awesomeness and focus.
Yes, unfortunately, Miss Millicent she became ill yesterday, went to the doctor and has strep throat, so she was gone today as well, and her class was unable to be with us this evening, but we will see about a reschedule for her class.
What about Schuster? Was it the computer club? Wasn't he supposed to come too?
It's not on our
tabled that.
agenda.
Yes?
He withdrew the
Okay.
whole thing until the science fair, which is in the works right now, as we did last year. It's in the process. So they just had the regionals and the, is it next Saturday or this Saturday?
March 28th, next Saturday.
March 28th over in Western Illinois University will be the regionals, and then that's when we had the science fair kids come in. So.
Great. Moving on then to our next item of public participation. If you're here this evening and have something that you'd like to speak on to the Board of Education, we ask that you do one at a time, state your name, and speak loudly to us. Usually you step up a little ways. Any public participation?
Hello, my name is Steve Hubie, and last August I was sought out and asked to be part of a new special education position at Parkview. This position was to be a 5th and 6th grade English language arts position where I would be both co-teaching and have a resource room with students. I was told at the time by my principal I was being sought out because I was very intelligent, came with great recommendations, had excellent experience in working with students that have learning differences, and have worked commendably in the community here in Creve Coeur. Even though I had the option to renew a contract with another district, I chose Parkview because I have a passion for helping the students and the community of the people that live here. 2 Fridays ago, that same man who sought me out came to me again. Only this time, he told me I was being dismissed for being, quote, too intelligent to teach these kids. I was pressured 3 times into signing letters of resignation. Each time, I was offered either a letter of recommendation or threatened with how bad it would look to other employers if the school board dismisses me versus resigning. I declined signing the letter, and even though I was shocked, I remained calm and was then told, "You're upset. Why don't you take the rest of the day off? Just go ahead. Walk out the door early." I not only had work to do, but did not want to create a situation of his word versus my word. I again told him no, and that I had students work from Encore to return to their teachers. I then asked him why. I said, how could I be too intelligent to teach the children at this school? I have a curriculum guide ready to implement for next year. I have a pacing guide ready to implement. And I've been working with you all year consulting on technology upgrades for this school. How am I doing a bad job? I was again told, you're just too intelligent for this job and these kids. I think you would be better elsewhere, perhaps at a high school somewhere. I was then given until the following Wednesday to turn in one of 3 letters of resignation that man typed for me and put in my hand for me. All this from the man who gave me nothing but proficient on my evaluations. The following Monday, during my prep period, I went to that principal's office and told him I was not going to sign the letter of resignation. I asked him 3 times if he would change his mind, given that I have been nothing but proficient, hardworking. I have followed all of his directions and advice. I have followed Mr. Aldridge's advice and all of his emails to the letter, and I have shown that nothing but awesomeness can come from this district. I discussed with him how I had plans to streamline special education co-teaching in English language arts and implement a plan that could save quite a bit of money in technology upgrades and security for the district. While I refuse to give names outside of an executive session, out of respect for my fellow coworkers, I do feel that there are some things that need to be clarified at this point in an executive session. My passion for helping my students can be measured in many ways. I have built positive relationships with my coworkers, including spending my prep periods in their classrooms assisting them and their students. I have built positive relationships between parents and this school, which is shown by the positive and supportive comments given by parents in meetings and through other communications. For example, parents have written letters and given them directly to members of the board. Coworkers, students, and parents have written letters, and some are sitting here in the audience tonight. I have built positive relationships with my students that have manifested in a decrease in behavior problems and an increase in the willingness to learn. I have followed every directive my principal has given me. I have continued to have a willingness to work with all staff members. I have worked to create various plans to improve our school's technology, save the district money, and I have created a pacing and curriculum guide to help students transition more efficiently from 5th to 7th grade. Yet I am told none of this matters. For the students and parents of our district, it does matter. For the parents who struggle to make ends meet by working 3 jobs, it matters. And I make a difference. For the students who no teacher wants to deal with, I matter. My job and the things that I do both have and can accomplish are needed by the members of this community. I care about my students and have a passion for teaching them. I let them know that there are teachers out there that care about them and that they matter. I'm here to ask you to vote no to the recommendation of my dismissal and to listen to the voices of the parents and students in this audience. Thank you very much.
Mr. Huber, you are on the schedule for executive session, so if you'd like to also come into that, we welcome you privately. But it's at the end of the meeting, so are you wanting to do that?
I am willing to do that.
Thank you. Any other?
May I speak? I'm Dawn Kirby. I'm one of the parents that Mr. Ube has in his class. And I've got 7 adopted kids, and I've been in the foster care system for about 30 years.
Can you talk up just a little bit?
And we don't have
Or
an
maybe
address.
come closer.
Okay. And so I'm not a stranger to special needs kids, for sure. And my kids have been at Peoria Christian for 20 years. This is my first year in public school. So naturally, I had a lot of concerns. And I had one foster child in Parkview a couple years ago with Mr. Jogish. And but he no longer lives with us. So I have 2 boys at Peoria Christian, and one is in Mr. Ube's 5th grade class. He's very special needs, prenatally exposed to drugs, alcohol, has severe ADHD, mood disorders, throws a fit at every turn, can, and be somewhat violent sometimes. And so I was really afraid bringing him into this setting until I met Mrs. Conway and Mr. Hubie. And I felt like they really cared about these kids. This is not an easy job. And it is emotional for me. But I think when you've got somebody that cares about these kids like he does, shouldn't just be passed over so quickly and not looked into the whole situation. I don't know it. I don't know the whole situation. But I do know that he loves these kids. And that Alex has done great under him, better than really he's ever done. And so I guess I ask that you guys dig in there and look and see what the situation is, because it can mean the difference for these kids making it and not making it. That's all.
Thank you, Mrs. Kirby. We do appreciate you coming and standing in behalf of the child. Other public participation?
Hi, I'm Don Bachler, 201 Oak Ridge, Creve Coeur, Illinois. I watched your board meeting a month ago, and I was glad that Mrs. Litchfield wrote you a letter. You know, of course, I addressed you a couple months ago about Mr. Litchfield's portrait and being missing or where it's at. You know, I don't know whether it was stolen, misplaced, whatever happened to it. Somebody took it, you know, we can't find it. I hope that you look into replacing this. Now, so I listened to that video, and I think maybe only one person mentioned anything about they even knew Mr. Litchfield. Well, I'm here to give you a little background about Mr. Litchfield. Mr. Litchfield was the superintendent of this district, probably the longest running superintendent we ever had. I definitely know that he's definitely one of the best superintendents I had. That this man lived in this community, his children grew up in this community, he represented the community, he had respect of the community. Mostly, he was a very humble person, dedicated, very approachable. In fact, if you wanted to go to the superintendent and see him on a Saturday morning, you could find him in the district office. That was almost a guarantee. I remember approaching him with some teachers every once in a while, go in and see him, talk to him about school problems, different things. He was, like I said, very approachable. He was a good listener, but he let you know that he was the boss. No ifs, ands, buts about it, okay? And I said he was dedicated to this community. He talks to some of the old people in this community that's been here. Everybody knew that Mr. Litchfield, they could go to him. You know, I think the letter said that, you know, that her dad was a student, staff, and community oriented. She forgot the word community. I will put that in. But she said staff and community. You know, he guided this district through good times and bad times. And what do you mean about that? You know about the financial problems back in the mid-'80s and the '90s and what you're approaching now. Well, this guy had a lot more problems. If you look around, you'll see his mark on every building in this community. Whether it be this building here in LaSalle, dealing with the additions. In fact, there's a picture out there in the office. He was over at Park. He was at what we call the kindergarten building. Kindergarten building is, if you don't know where that's at, that's where the Christian Center is at. That's across from the community bank. That's where his office was. We had to move him out of there. The reason why we had to move him out of there, we were overcrowded. We had to put our kindergarten classes there. So where did his office go? It went to an old house over by Nyman's grocery store. In that house was his office, secretary, special ed secretary, and a special ed director. Finally, the school board got a little wise and said, hey, we need to find a permanent place for the administration building. They looked around and found a bus barn. As I said, he was very simple and worried about finances in this district. He said, okay, let's put up 3 walls, concrete block walls, make it a very simple thing, you know, and he did that. It stayed there, you know, and it stayed there for many years until we closed it down. Even had the portable walls, and that's where it housed the board. It housed a board office, special ed office. There's 3 secretaries in that building that you're thinking about talking about tonight, you know, and we remodeled for over $200,000. I'm very dedicated, Mr. Litchfield. I think he was a very fine man. Community thought very highly of him. So when somebody said, who is Mr. Litchfield? I think he deserved to have his portrait hanging back in that building. You know, even after he retired, he didn't get to live very long. But, not a joking manner. The community, the board members, and his family, they had his wake in that building. That's why I asked you to put that picture back up, that portrait back up. I think it's a duty of the school.
Thank you, Mr. Beikler. Most of us did not have the privilege, I've been in the district 15 years and didn't have that background. But there were a number, there were a few that did know him and are checking into getting a picture through their own, their resources. And so we'll get a report on that later. Thank you.
Yeah, because I'm gonna contact Mrs. Fitzgerald. I have the children, some of the children in school.
Okay, I
Since
believe
I
the
got
board
back,
members are doing that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any other communications? Hearing none, we'll be going into results driven with the principal's awesome results.
Mr. Jokic.
All
Tell us
right.
what's going on in Parkview.
First off, the month of March is all about park testing. I shouldn't say all about, but we've been very busy with it. The 5th and 6th grade kicked off park testing on March 3rd. They're taking the electronic version, and because we have to do that in the computer lab, it takes the entire month. And so far, there have been very few glitches with that. Students and staff have been working very hard to ensure that students are doing their best on the test. And it is stressful. I have a lot of students complaining, even staff complaining that it is a stressful time, and it's a long, extended time. So I just want to thank everybody for all their hard work on it. Thanks for Ms. Callahan for making sure that the electronic portion has went smoothly. And I've been really very pleased with it overall. The 7th and 8th grade are taking the paper version. So we began that process last Tuesday. Will be completed by this Friday at the latest. So that's more of the traditional mode. And I know I'll be happy once we go to the complete electronic version where I'm not having to worry about checking books in and books out every day and all the security involved. But again, I just want to thank all the students and staff for their hard work on that. Last Wednesday, we had the science fair and tons of good projects, a lot of good research. 15 groups were chosen, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. They will be moving on to the regional science fair, which is next Saturday, March 28th. And last year, we had 3 groups that went to the state, which was awesome. And Mr. Kleeser tells me that he expects at least 1 or 2 to make it this year, hopefully more than that. So thanks to him and Ms. Starman for all their efforts. Last Tuesday, volleyball the 8th grade team made it to the regional championship game. We had a tough loss against DMAC, against a very good team, but they had a very nice season overall. And we have Scholastic Bowl going full gear. We won last night. We just lost tonight at Parkview to East Peoria Central. So, and Ms. Starman and Ms. Sponholt are coaching that. So that's all I have.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. McCormick, how's LaSalle done this month?
Well, we've done pretty well, I think. Right after our last board meeting, we had the chili supper, and I saw a number of faces there and talked to a lot of the parents, talked to some board members too. It seemed to have a pretty good turnout from what I understand. Everything seemed to go smoothly. I wanted to tell you about one thing that's going on in our school. The Center for Prevention of Abuse comes to our school and provides our students with the Second Step program. They do this at Parkview. They do this for most of Peoria, parts of Tazewell and Woodford County as well. And the Second Step program is to educate our students in kind of in compliance with Aaron's Law, but it talks about different things at different grade levels, bullying to safe body, all sorts of different things. Every year in recognition of Child Abuse Awareness Month, the Center for Prevention of Abuse chooses one classroom out of all the schools they service. Not one class per school, not one grade level per school, one class out of everybody. This year, it's Mrs. Graffis' class. They were chosen, and I can quote from the letter I got, for their outstanding efforts and how serious they took the program. The teacher and class will travel to the Lease Botanical Gardens in Peoria by the zoo in late April, where they'll have a morning of different learning activities, things like respecting others, body safety, bullying prevention. They'll also get a special presentation by the staff of Lease Botanical Gardens called Nature's Kitchen, where they learn about what they eat and where it comes from. They'll have lunch there before returning back. But, you know, in looking into this, we're the first school outside of Peoria to get this.
Wow.
So, pretty awesome, and again,
Yeah.
way to go. Finally, we also been working on park testing. Tomorrow will be our last scheduled day of it. We started, like Parkview did, on the 3rd. Since we only have 2 grade levels to test, 3rd and 4th, we've been doing it all on computer. I won't say it's gone perfect. There have been some little technical glitches along the way. Tech support has helped us out with some of those things, and one day we had some things that we really don't think were our problem. We think it was, you know, the host server, wherever that may be. But well, I think it's been a good learning experience for us. We learned about park testing stress disorder. And it is a stressful time for the kids, like Mr. Jokish mentioned. One student was quoted as saying, "This testing is ruining my life." But it's new for them, it's new for us. I think it's gone relatively smoothly. To say that with the exception of that ice day, we're on schedule. So we haven't had any major setbacks that way. Again, tomorrow we'll finish up the regular testing, and I anticipate probably 1 day of makeup testing after that, and we'll have it done.
Great. Thank you, Mr. McCormick.
We're going to move on to our superintendent's awesome results.
Thank you, Ms. Strong. First up is we need to revisit the revisions to the Litchfield plans that we had spoke of a month or so ago. Mr. Walkvital, the architect, reviewed some plans, took into account the additional revisions that board members had brought forth. And there's some things that we have to readjust. We moved, or one of the things that the board had talked about was the outside lobby area and moving Mrs. Walton from inside the secondary door there and putting her out into a reception area. The problem with that is there's only about 6 feet of space there from one wall, from the new wall to the back wall of that area. There's only about a 6-foot space there, and it doesn't fit her current desk configuration doesn't fit in there, and it's going to be a pretty small area. So what I would like is to, for the board to consider going back to the first part, or the first plan, where we have the an entry level or an entryway, and then we have a lobby set up where the public would sit, and then have Ms. Walton and Ms. Cornwell in that work area just inside the door. There isn't much of a cost factor in doing that, because we're not making any changes to the specific area. It's just a matter of placing the walls. All right. So we want to take a look at that. There was a question about the cost of the window configurations and whether or not, what would be the cost of the windows, cutting out the new windows, and the cost that he had figured up was about $1,100 to $1,200 per window, and these are small. They're 24 inches wide and 48 inches tall, so they're not huge windows. And the that cost would be for our regular, contractor wages if we were to use an outside contractor. If we were to use our own maintenance personnel, it would probably be significantly lower to have those windows installed into this area. The other things that the board had talked about removing the back cabinetry and the space for a little coat area, and moving this wall over to incorporate a secondary window. All of those things, it's just a matter of where we're moving the walls and where we're placing the walls, and putting those two windows back in. So that's for consideration. And the other thing that we need to, and we didn't think about, and I didn't think about, was an unanswered question about whether the floors would be carpeted, because at this point they're tile and sitting on a concrete slab with the tile is probably not as conducive to secretarial and office work, and so we would just like to consider carpeting that area where we're going to have offices. So,
Board communication?
I would like to suggest that we all go over to the Litchfield building so that we can actually measure and see either at what is the next meeting, 14th, or call a special.
7/21, April 7th, and then April 21st.
That's not what's listed on the website.
I thought it was the 14th.
It was just spring break.
Regardless.
Oh, we didn't do the 7th? Okay, I'm sorry.
Because it's spring break.
Spring break?
Easter.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought it was 7th.
So we'll have to do
The
the
7th
14th,
would be
that's the
during
first day back.
Okay, so,
Regardless, I think we all need to see, because it's hard to figure from those blueprints. You had half of it, we had half of it. Let's go see what we want to do before we make a decision.
Okay. Other comments from the board?
Maybe you do it either before the 14th, I mean, like half hour before the meeting starts, and we call it early and go there.
That would be fine. I don't have an issue with going over there and looking at, I mean, I've seen the building, I know what it looks like, so,
I think some of the comments on the area was, it has its own desk area instead of bringing in the desk that Stephanie currently has. We saw that it looked like a great arrangement for that receptionist with the, it was already pre-made, so.
that is Head
and we-
Start's furniture, yes.
Right, and we
office
talked
furniture.
about that,
That's
but
all.
it doesn't look like it would be that difficult to make, so we could look at that also. We'll go over there then, everybody on the committee of the whole, before the committee of the whole.
we're only having one meeting in April, right? Is it?
There's two.
We're doing the 14th and the 21st?
28th.
28th.
I mean, if we go over there ahead of time, we would know then on the meeting of the 14th what we want to do.
We can further discuss it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, has Head Start been, has this been discussed with Head Start that they will be in the LaSalle building? We've notified them of the move, given them plenty of time?
Yes, ma'am. When the board, back in the fall, when we had our first meetings and toured the building, back, when was that?
We all did it at different times.
Different times, right, but I think it was maybe September, I don't remember. August, September. At that time, when we decided that it was gonna move forward, I engaged Head Start in those discussions. They're fully aware of, and actually are excited to be invited into the school building. They believe that it's a better partnership when they are in the elementary school. So it is in the works. They're fully understand it. They're looking forward to it. The only thing that they have to do is wait until the last day of school, day after the last day of school, when there are no children around, and they will bring in the DCFS inspectors to come in and inspect the area to make sure that it's square footage and egress and ingress are all up to DCFS standard, not just school code. So that's all in the works, yes. So, okay, April 14th then, before the board meeting?
I have a quick question. And excuse my memory here. Have we actually voted to make this a final decision to spend this money?
No.
To do?
That's
Okay,
why
I
That's why
didn't
we
think
want
so.
to go look.
So, I mean, it sounds, the way we're talking, it sounds like it's happening. And I'm sitting here going, wait a minute, I don't think we are actually decided to do this.
I guess, I mean, I'm all for bringing Head Start over here, but are we positive that we are up to DCFS?
It was okayed when this was first done, before they went to the Litchfield building.
Okay.
It was okayed then.
So there's no possibility that we
If
won't
they
pass?
change classrooms, that might be an issue.
I would think
but-
that would need to be done before I would make this decision, because
Because if we don't pass the
I want
DCFS,
Head
then we
Start
have
to
to
be
backtrack
here.
everything, right?
Right.
Well, the room that they chose
Okay.
2
The
years
back room.
ago was okayed by DCFS.
Okay.
Is it
So-
the same room?
I don't know, but if it's not, it could be.
Okay.
Wouldn't you think? I mean,
well,
I see.
I'm
Because
just saying.
I hate to put all this work into, and
Absolutely.
then we have to undo it all again. I mean, that's my only,
sure.
I don't wanna lose Head Start,
right. Because we
just
need it.
because
That's my only, I didn't think about the
people wanna get back to
DCFS.
the Litchfield
Right.
building.
Well,
Could
then-
you, could you talk to ROE and see what kind of stipulations on this new rule? Because the time element's gonna cause some strains.
Okay,
So,
just so long as we know that we can pass the DCFS. Because I guess I didn't realize that DCFS inspections were different than school.
There are different
I didn't
components and
realize that.
different elements.
I just figured we're good to go.
is there any way you can check those out?
As long as you know that we can pass it.
He'll check.
I have full faith and belief that we will, however, I'm not a DCFS inspector, so
Okay. But
what
if
I can
we-
do is
if we
get the
passed
head
it
start.
All
before-
right, was that 2 years ago or 3? They've been over there 2 years.
Did we actually pass it
Yes.
before?
They
Okay.
they came into LaSalle, they went through, everything was okay.
Okay, if we pass it before,
And then
then,
before, we had to
Okay.
flip.
They may have changed, then, you never know, so.
but I mean, if we passed it before and we have a room
Right.
that is
And
up to there.
if it's something that we don't pass, maybe we could, let's say such as air conditioning, we get a window unit, we put it in, I don't know. if
But then
that's
you
it or
have
not,
one
but-
room in the building that has air conditioning and all the other teachers want it.
Well, that's different, that's Head Start. I don't know, I just picked that as an example. I mean, yes, we couldn't put an extra bathroom in, but,
Yeah.
little things we could do to make it.
Yeah. Okay. I wouldn't think air conditioning would be
No,
the
I
one
just
thing.
picked that.
I will contact the director of Head Start
Okay,
to discuss with her and have her come over and look at the specific room that we have determined to use and look at that and see if she sees if there are any glaring errors or anything.
Okay.
Usually it's not a problem if there are small corrections. We're not gonna have to move any walls or anything.
Right.
It's just a matter of maybe we need another fire sensor in the rooms, things of that nature.
Okay.
So they really make sure that there's enough square footage for each of the number of children.
Okay.
So that's the biggest thing. So, and it's not a necessity that the room have a bathroom inside of it, because Head Start is in other school buildings
Right.
and
That they
in
have to go
rooms
to the
that
bathroom,
do
right.
not have bathrooms inside the rooms.
Right.
So that's not a requirement, but that's one of the rooms that we're looking at.
Okay.
So we can definitely have them come out. Now, DCFS won't come out and certify anything
Right.
with our stuff in there. That's why we have to wait till school's, the end of school.
Right.
Okay.
All right, so like Ms. Strong says, if we have to wait till the end of school before you guys decide that you want to go forward, then we have zero construction time to get things done. So that's just the consideration that we have to have in
Okay.
place.
I just wanted to make sure that
Sure, I
we
understand.
don't have to undo anything.
And
And-
Head Start does want to come over here. They would prefer to be here in this building?
Yes,
This lit- Okay, good, because I think, I'm going what Mrs. Troop said, you know, just not to flip the administration building over there, it's like, okay, it's a better fit for Head Start, so, no, we don't want to spend this extra money just to move the administration building. But it's, since
Well,
it's a
but
better
I just don't
fit.
wanna lose Head Start. We worked too
Exactly.
hard
It's
to
a
get
better
them back
fit.
into the community, and we don't wanna lose them.
Right.
I
So,
think anyone wants to lose them.
Right, it's a better fit for them.
I mean, so, I just wanna make sure we're not doing something that, you know, all of a sudden, oh, sorry, we don't have room for you, we've got extra kindergartners now, you gotta go back to East Peoria. You know what I mean? I don't want.
So 5:30 enough time? Everybody in agreement? 5:30 all right on the committee of the whole? Okay.
All right, make that change of meeting time. All right, and Homewood boiler floor drain. A couple months ago, or the last time we met, I showed you pictures of the corroding boiler tubes at Homewood. The boiler inspectors have said that if it is not repaired, they will not certify it to be relit next winter or fall, whenever it is they do that. So one of the things that was an issue was the drain for the clean out of the boiler. Twice a year, they drain the boiler out and they do their inspection and their clean out. And that drain is right in the floor, right next to the boiler. Well, it was clogged and has been clogged now. And so I brought the plumber in, and he first did it with a hand auger, trying to get through there, get through the clog, was not able to. Brought in his big machine to kind of grind his way through there, but he believes that either the old clay or cast iron drains has collapsed upon itself, and that's the real clog. He could not get through it. So no matter what it is, there is a clog that will not allow the boiler to drain out through that drain. It's going to necessitate cutting about 15 to 18 feet of concrete and replacing the collapsed pipe. And you know, at the cost, I didn't even ask him at that time because I didn't think that was where we were wanting to go at this point. The drain being used only twice a year, the boiler repair guy, Dave, Boiler Dave said that they can bring in a pump and a generator to pump it out the back of the building instead of going out the drain to the sewer system. It would go out just out the back, and he assured me that there wouldn't be any kind of of environmental hazards by doing that. So they would be able to pump it out and could service the boiler when needed, if we get it repaired. So the collapsed drain pipe probably is not an immediate issue for us, and that's why I didn't ask the plumber for any kind of a estimated cost for cutting the concrete floor to find out where the actual clog was and replacing the drain and going down that road. The thing that the board needs to keep in its mind, and we will need to address, is the actual replacement of the tubing for the boiler, so that it can be re-inspected and relit in the fall, next fall. So those things will be something for district, or for the board to approve here in the very near future. Parent-Teacher Advisory Committee. Oh, I'm sorry. Whoops. Any comments? Questions? It's a boiler. We got to fix it.
Right.
Parent-Teacher Advisory Committee. We put together the committee, and I tried to get a good cross-section of the key stakeholders: teachers, parents, parents to represent both schools. The teacher members are Jason Thompson, Diane Coth from LaSalle, Nicole Clark, and Julie Wetstein from Parkview. Gracious volunteers, and have attended both meetings so far. I appreciate that. Parent members are April Jansky from LaSalle, Tammy Bowers from Parkview, and Rachel Cagle, who has children at both schools. So we got a third parent in there that take care of a crossover. We've met twice this month in an effort to bring the student discipline policies up to date. We plan to have all of the discipline section policies ready for board consideration at its April 14th meeting. And later in this meeting, we have recommendations for board policy 7:180. So we will get to that in action items. My last item is federal and state monitoring reports. Back in January, we had the Illinois State Board of Education came in to monitor our federal and state funding, our Title I, Title II, the federal money, and our general state aid, special education personnel, regular and vocational transportation, we don't have vocational, and special education transportation. So those were the accounts that were audited by the State Board of Education for accountability, to make sure that we were using the money in the appropriate manner. All right? Now, we were fine in all areas except regular transportation. In that area, we had an $8,369 discrepancy in our reimbursement. That was before our official audit. You'll see this was for school years 2012, 2013. The discrepancy, the $8,369, was based upon a formula for transportation reimbursement. If you've ever seen the State Board of Education's, well, our AFR, our annual financial report, you know that these are not easy things to draft and to fill out, all right? But regular transportation, inside the transportation reimbursement paperwork, we get to claim a percentage of the square footage of the transportation housing, which is our bus barn. So we get to charge back to the state a portion of our maintenance costs and purchased services for maintenance to the bus barn based upon a percentage of the square footage. Well, we had that number, and it was a number that, we had that number. It was figured out, and it was figured out incorrectly. So the wrong number was placed into the big calculation, all right? It was found that the mistake was made when we had the final audit, or the official audit for the district. If we would have known that the mistake was transposed into the transportation paperwork, we could have amended the reimbursement submission. But the audit came a little bit late. It was already turned in. And it happened that we were overpaid by the state, $8,369 for transportation reimbursement. All right? Now, that's not, overpayment is really a misnomer, because they only give us 38% of the reimbursement that they're supposed to give us anyway. But be that as it may, we were overpaid, and the State Board of Education is going to recoup the $8,369. They will send us a letter of recoupment, and what happens is, on our next reimbursement process, they will just deduct $8,369 from our reimbursement cost or amount. So next year in the fall, when we do our transportation reimbursement claim, we know that it will come back and we will have a debit of $8,369. It was a clerical, it was an accounting error. It's human error. We're all human. We make errors. And there's no penalty. There's no assessments. There's no firing squads. There's, it is what it is. It was an overpayment, and they're recouping their money. So.
For only 1 year?
Yes, ma'am. For this audited year. Yeah. Now, they'll come back in 2 years and do this all again, but they could pick different code or different funds then.
But
We don't know.
have this corrected by then.
It will be corrected at the end of well, I can't say if it's going to be corrected at the end of this fiscal year or not. I think it'll be the next one. So, yes, ma'am. But if you continue, if you look a little bit lower in that same chart, oops, wait a minute. Look a little bit lower in that same chart, you'll see that in transportation special education, transportation reimbursement, we will receive $617 that we could have claimed but didn't claim. So, these are gives and takes, and it'll all come out in the end, and we'll move forward.
And then you bring us the bottom line on 5 of 5.
I'm sorry?
You bring us the bottom dollar line
Oh.
on 515, on
Yes.
page 5 of 5.
Right.
Okay.
So, yes, the total overclaimed amount would be $7,752. They'll make the adjustment on what they didn't pay us and what they did pay us, and it comes out to $7,752 is what they will recoup from us, which is not bad, because when I was in the Decatur Public School District, they were overpaid $2.7 million in nursing in the Medicaid program, and that was recouped all in 1 year as well. So it could be worse. Could be worse. Just to put it into some perspective. So,
All right.
there you are, Ms. Strong.
Thank you. Moving on to our consent agenda, could we have a motion, please?
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I second.
All right.
True.
Then, we can go through that agenda with any questions, comments from the board table.
I would make a statement that the approval for the Student Activity Fund report is for Parkview School only. Okay, LaSalle School, there was a couple of outstanding checks that had not cleared through the bank deposit, or I don't know if they were deposits or quite what it was, but Ms. Osinarski had not gotten to reconcile her account yet, and she wanted to wait until those checks, rather than putting in notations. She just wanted to make it clean, so next month we'll bring both months to the board.
All right. Do we have any comments at all on those? G1. No comments. Okay. We need a roll call, please.
Linda Bailey,
Aye.
Pam Griner, Brenda Cagle, Val Raven, Julie True,
Aye.
Becca Kern, Judy Strong.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Moving on to our next action item. Motion, please.
I make a motion to approve and enter into a lease agreement with the Regional Office of Education to house the Regional Safe School Program at the Homewood Heights building.
And Ms. Strong, to speak to this, I've invited Ms. Lorna Shorewood and Ms. Julie Hicks they're in the audience here, to answer any questions that the board may have regarding our lease rental agreement. We've been in this agreement, this is the second or third year, okay? So it is expiring. I've given you an analysis of the Homewood expenditures and revenues, and you can see that there is a cost to the district regarding Homewood and our lease agreement with the regional office, but it's a slight cost. The projected cost through June 30th would be $4,179. The approximate cost if Homewood Heights School Building were to be empty and not have any lease agreement would be approximately $14,000 just for utilities and maintenance and custodial costs. So this is a tremendous advantage for Creve Coeur School District, and it is a great partnership. I've had nothing but a good working relationship with Ms. Hicks and Ms. Shorewood. It's been a pleasure to work with them, and I would recommend that the board would enter into that agreement.
Comments from the board?
Sorry, I'm just
That's all
reviewing
right.
numbers here.
The reason 1314 is, you can see the net there was a significant difference. There was a significant loss, 1314, but that had nothing to do with the safe school. That was our own, that was our own internal personnel issues that were that attributed to that significant cost overrun. So that's really has nothing to do with the safe school.
But what if maintenance goes up because we have to spend $8,000 on the boiler, that's not configured in here for next year. So we're gonna be adding $8,000 onto this.
You're.
We're gonna have to
if
do it
you-
anyhow.
Oh,
Right.
oh, you're gonna have to do it anyway.
Right.
Even if the building's empty, we still have to put the boiler in.
Well, then we're gonna have to continue to repair things because we have it open and we have it rented.
But even if it's empty, you still have to replace the boiler.
Or sell it, or look at other options.
We talked about selling it once before.
And you'd have to abate
We
the
have to
entire
abate
thing
the
to sell
entire
it.
thing to sell it.
Well, I wish it would break even and not cost us anything. I would rather someone be in there maintaining it. I mean, and there have been nothing but positive comments come out of that.
Sure.
There's been no problems within the neighborhood, and I'm pretty close. Everybody's has nothing but good to say, so.
And since you've invested in coming, do you want to have a moment to talk to the board on any concerns or comments of housing?
I'd just like to add a comment, if that's appropriate. It's been a facility to serve students that have needs that require kind of a community sense. The setting has really been helpful with that. They've taken on a new commitment level to schooling and to responsibility, and so it's been a really good kind of building to help us with that, because it's kind of their last chance, many of them, and to have them fired up about setting goals and doing well in school is just what it's all about. So we appreciate your consideration of this.
So your data is bringing forth positive results from the program.
Definitely, definitely. And it's because I believe that too many times that the students we serve are at risk. You know, the big schools they come from often they're not connecting with, and they find a really strong connection and feeling of growing feeling of responsibility. I mean, that's just so that not only are they getting a good grade, but also when they get back out, they know whether it's back to their serving school or the community to get jobs and so on, that I do have responsibility, I do set goals, I do have this role to play in society. So we've had a lot of good comments from administrators and students.
I would just say the building itself is definitely our students' home. Mrs. Sherwood alluded to. These students don't feel at home at their traditional schools, and they, in a very odd way, love everything about the school. It's definitely a hub of the community too. In the evenings, I don't know if you ever drive by the building, there's lots of kids, and my students get very upset when we come in the next day if there's lots of litter outside and things like that. And so they take huge pride in the building itself and the school and the whole program. So.
Great. And I know it's not only for Creve Coeur District. You bring in students from all of Tazewell?
Currently it's Tassau County.
Tazewell only now, okay.
But the board may not know, but the Regional Office of Education is being merged. So next year, starting July 1st, it will be Tazewell, Mason, Woodford, 3 counties. Our regional office, Pekin, will be covering 3 counties. So there's potential for even more students from outlying schools as well. And it is it's a program that works. I would say, yes, there might be a little more utility costs.
I'm just thinking.
Sure. But from an alternative educational standpoint, I was the principal of the alternative special education alternative high school in Decatur. These students are well behaved. These students do like going to school. They're not across the street smoking cigarettes. They're not bringing spray paint to school, you know, and spray painting the doors and the windows as they leave. All right? Those are the things I had to deal with in Decatur. A different atmosphere, I understand, But as an alternative school, this is a program that you know, I'm pretty proud of that it's here in Creve Coeur. So that's why I'm recommending.
What's the age level there? Is it all ages?
The 7th to 12th graders.
7th to 12th graders.
So it's the level of education, not an age.
Correct.
Okay.
What's the average amount of students you have?
I currently have 33 in both programs. We also have the alternative high school.
Great service to us, thank you.
Thank you.
I do think it is a wonderful program, and I am glad they're here, but I kind of agree with Mrs. Reagan. We have started a precedence, it seems, to provide like janitorial, snow removal through our lease programs, and I'm not sure that's in the best interest of the district. And not raise the rent at any point. I mean, this is another several years here that we won't be able to raise the rent. I would also like to see it a little bit closer to our expenses.
Yeah, I would rather broke even.
Well, as I said, the Regional Office of Education is being combined in 3 different counties, not because it's, you know, a good thing to do, but because of financial strictures on the regional offices of education. You know,
Does that mean
it's
that
fine.
the kids in this district have to pay for it? Because that's what it's coming down to, that $5,000.
Actually, it's not. 1,500 compared to 14,000 is not a loss to the district. If it was to sit empty, not house such a wonderful program for older children up to high school.
You could try to raise it, and if we lose the 30,000 a year, there you go.
You're just saying we would like even get their own janitorial. I mean, we're not saying even pay for it. Just give us
Especially
more rent.
since that's what caused the big discrepancy in
Right.
13-14 school year.
And that's been corrected, so that's why the discrepancy is going lower.
And it cannot happen again.
Well, I think.
Everything
this
is
a part
possible.
of it.
Exactly.
Everything is possible.
Yeah.
I mean, I think this lease agreement really looks 10 times better than the other lease agreement, to tell you the truth. I mean, I'm thinking, wow, what a great job. Because it looks better, even just reading through it. I was just looking at the money amount too.
Mrs. Drew, could I ask you to put it, you made the motion, would you include the years that it covers, please? Just so that if we were to go back in the minutes, we would know when this contract is coming due.
So,
Number 2 is term.
right,
Just amended.
so amend the motion to include August 1st, 2015 to July 31st, 2017.
Can we have a second on that then too, Mrs. Cagle?
I second.
All right. Any further discussion? If not, we'll get a roll call. You have one? No?
Well, since the lease doesn't come up, you've got a few months if you wanted to negotiate the cost, I'm just saying.
Well, we do. I guess we
Yeah,
need to
it's that
take
empty
a roll
for
call.
so long.
All right, let's go with a roll call then.
Linda Bailey,
Aye.
Pam Griner,
Aye.
Brenda Cagle,
Aye.
Belle Reagan,
No.
Julie True,
Aye.
Rebecca Kern, aye, Judy Strong.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Again, thank you for coming. We're going to move on to our next action item of H2. We need a motion, please.
Make a motion to approve the board meeting minutes from January 27th, 2015, and February 3rd, 2015, as presented.
And February.
And
She said
I said
February.
February,
Did you?
I said February 3rd.
I'm sorry, my fault.
I second.
Thank you, Mrs. Kern, as a second. Communications from the table. I think we all saw what was suggested, brought forth suggestions from Mrs. Greiner. I personally viewed the video after being asked to do such from those members that were present that night. I did not see that the meeting minutes were not a summary of the discussion on the matters proposed, deliberated, and decided as was brought to us. So that comment, although Mrs. Greiner has eloquent speech and writing, I personally believe they are appropriate as presented. So, comments from the rest of the board?
Thought it was just a summary of everything, so I went back and re-looked through everything too, so.
You need to
I
speak
understand
up,
what
Ms.
you-
Cagle, because I can barely hear you, so I know the
So
audience
I
can.
went back and reviewed everything too, and went through my little checklist and watched the things, and, I mean, I understand what she's saying too, but I just thought it was an overall summary, so I don't have an issue with what was presented in our minutes. Can you stand by my statement that while it is a summary, it's an incorrect summary?
All right, any other comments? Okay, roll call, please.
Linda Bailey?
So the motion made was to approve the original minutes, is
Yes,
that
as
correct?
presented.
No.
Pam Griner?
No.
Brenda Cagle?
Yes.
Val Reagan?
No.
Julie Troop?
Aye.
Rebecca Kern? Aye. Judy Strong?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Moving on to our next motion.
Yes, because it's the
Okay.
17th is the next day.
Okay, thank you. We need a motion for the next minutes.
I make a motion to approve the board meeting minutes dated February 17th, 2015 as presented.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Cagle. Mrs. Kern? Comments?
Wasn't that included in the original motion
No.
from
Yeah.
H2?
No.
No, they were separated out because the 27th and the 3rd were the ones that were kind of contested. And then there's another motion for February 17th.
That's why I was confused too, because under the
I was
first one.
confused because up here it's
That's what it
red.
says.
Yeah, no, but it was red. The motion was
The
red.
only two
Yes,
dates, okay.
Okay. Sorry, messed up.
It's okay.
We don't need to change it, but could we clarify that under board communication on these minutes that I asked for Mr. Aldridge to contact the family regarding the photograph because I do not have their information.
Okay. I thought you were going to do that, so I
don't have the
apologize for that.
information.
Right, that
And
you
I'm
were.
not sure she would want him to give it to me, that's why I asked him to please contact her.
Okay.
He can give her my information if he would like to do so.
Okay, thank you. So, do we need to do anything other than what the minutes
It's
state?
just a summary, it's fine.
Pardon?
It's just a summary, it's fine. I just wanted to clarify that I was not gonna be the one contacting her.
The original contact, but you do want to contact them on getting the picture.
I want Mr.
She
Aldridge
wants
to
Mr. Aldridge.
contact the family and ask if they have a portrait and he is, that's what we're saying.
Right, but you're carrying it after that, is what you're trying to tell.
Yes.
Oh, that's what I need to know, thank you.
That hasn't changed.
Okay. Thank you for that. Clarity. I believe we're ready for a roll call, please.
Linda Bailey,
Aye.
Pam Garner,
Aye.
Brenda Cagle, Val Reagan,
Aye.
Julie Troop,
Aye.
Rebecca Kern, aye, Judy Stark.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Moving on to H3, our first reading of policy 7:180. Motion, please.
I make a motion to accept the first reading of policy 7:180, prevention of response to bullying, intimidation, and harassment.
Thank you, Mrs. True.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Cagle. Communications on this?
This is the prevention of response to intimidation and harassment. This was the #1 priority for the Parent-Teacher Advisory Committee. The committee did look at the press policy, and you can see that they made some recommendations, made some insertions and some deletions. They included the complaint manager as the superintendent. They are recommending that the board adopt or include playground supervisors or school secretaries as in the meaning of school personnel. School personnel means persons employed by, on contract with, or who volunteer in a school district, including without limitation, blah, 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 blah. The original press policy had school resource officers and security guards and school psychologists. The committee, seeing that we were an elementary school district, did not think that school resource officers and security guards were personnel, school personnel within our meaning of a school district, and are recommending removal of those, but an insertion of playground supervisors or school secretaries in that definition. The definition of school personnel is used for those persons whom a student may bring a complaint of harassment, intimidation, or bullying. They also included the insertion of the optional language there in #1 under bullying prevention and response plan, and the committee is saying, using the definition of bullying as provided in the policy, the superintendent or designee shall emphasize to the school community that A, the district prohibits bullying, and B, all students should conduct themselves with a proper regard for the rights and welfare of other students. This may include a process for commending or acknowledging students, commending or acknowledging students for demonstrating appropriate behavior. So that was an optional provision that was in the press policy that they recommended to the board. And also number 13 on page 4 of 4, by adding the superintendent or designee shall fully inform staff members of the district's goal to prevent students from engaging in bullying and the measures being used to accomplish it. This includes each of the following: A, communicating the district's expectation and state law requirement that teachers and other certified or licensed employees maintain discipline. B, establish the expectation that staff members, 1, intervene immediately to stop a bullying incident that they witness, or immediately contact building security and/or law enforcement if the incident involves a weapon or other illegal activity. 2, report bullying, whether they witness it or not, to an administrator. And 3, inform the administration of locations on school grounds where additional supervision or monitoring may be needed to prevent bullying. And also C, where appropriate in the staff development program, provide strategies to staff members to effectively prevent bullying and intervene when it occurs. So you can see that our current policy is right after the recommendations from the Parent-Teacher Advisory Committee. This, if you remember, is a policy that the State Board of Education requires school districts to file with the State Board of Education by April 15th. That's why we're on a fast track here to make this a policy that the board can adopt, as we're bringing this separately from all the other Section 7 discipline policies that we're doing more systematically. So
one day is enough to bring it to the county, because the next second reading would be on the 14th. If we include it in our agenda.
Right.
So one day is enough time to get it to them?
Yeah, I just have to turn around and scan it and submit it to the State Board of Education, check that it's been approved by the Board of Education, and we're done. There's a specific website that we have to go to do that. So.
I was a little bit confused on your last comment also, if you'll maybe clarify that for me. The committee was in favor of the anonymous telephone line in footnote 6 on page 3.
Yeah, it looks like the footnotes were not put into this, the board packet, but it was on the original ones that you've had. There was an optional footnote, footnote 6, that was that not allowed, but it was optional for a school district to establish an anonymous telephone line for individuals to call and report bullying, intimidation, and harassment anonymously to the school district. The issue being establishing a separate or some type of telephone line for anonymous phone calls. The committee was not really in favor of establishing anonymous phone calls being made to the school district in this regard, that if there is bullying and intimidation, that it needs to be brought forward to school personnel.
So apparently they felt confident in the placement of the different personnel that you discussed.
Yes.
To deal with it instead of an anonymous line.
Right.
Okay, thanks for that.
That's through education of the staff and the students, and the expectations that bullying, intimidation, and harassment would not be tolerated in our school district.
We can't find anything anonymous on
In
any
the
of
yellow
it.
one?
No, I looked through it, I don't see it.
Okay, well,
Somebody made it up.
okay.
We're looking at the,
Because all footnote 6 is required, it gives the state number of the requirement.
But all the footnotes, I don't see anywhere, but.
Okay.
I would have to go back to
They must have
my
found it
originals.
somewhere.
But they might have misinterpreted that
Well,
was a state
It might have been a different
800
footnote.
number.
I don't know.
There's a state 800 number on there? Is that what you're saying in the footnote?
Nope.
Nope.
There's not a state 800?
Nope.
There's no reference to an 800 number that I see.
Okay.
I would have to go back and look and bring out my notes.
Okay.
So,
But they didn't want the anonymous number in there?
the anonymous telephone line.
Why,
Yeah.
why didn't they want that?
That one, we would have to establish some kind of an anonymous telephone line
We would
system.
have to set it up. It's not a line that's already set up.
Oh, okay.
We would have to set it up, we would have to run it, we would have to.
Pay for it.
Pay for it, we'd have to police it.
Man it.
We would have to man it, et cetera, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
There's not an
Exactly.
actual number already out there that people can call.
Right, it's something that the
They didn't
school
want to
district
set
would
that
have
line
to,
up,
right,
but you could report it maybe like, they could call Mr. Jokish.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's
Or
what
they
they
could
brought.
call the school right now and leave a message.
Right,
I mean,
When no one's there.
exactly.
And they wouldn't have to leave their name. It would be anonymous. There you
Exactly.
go.
And they also brought in that, the playground supervision, because things happen out there. And the school secretaries, things happen in the morning and in the evening that secretaries,
Well,
are,
the kids like, the secretaries like, you know, the nurse, the mom, the this, the that. They give them the cool frozen sponges.
they have confidence.
They tell them things sometimes that they won't tell anybody.
That's exactly what the parents
I know.
said on the committee, so, yeah.
They will tell them things sometimes they won't tell any
And I thought those,
parents.
I thought those were good additions.
Yeah.
No, I agree with that.
I know I
I know I read
nitpicked,
it
but
somewhere.
under where they added the playground supervisors and the school secretaries, could we change that or to an and, it was in the original policy?
Yeah, instead of or, there should be an and there.
But I think the committee did a wonderful job, and I appreciate their input, and especially the teacher volunteers that gave their time extra. They're still working.
Yes.
Yeah, they have more policies.
Yeah, there's more to go.
This is just the one that needs to be done.
Yeah, correct.
All right, no other comments from the table, we'll have a roll call.
Linda Bailey,
Aye.
Pam Gardner,
Aye.
Brenda Cagle, Val Reagan, Julie True,
Aye.
Rebecca Kern, Judy Strong.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. At this time, because I know there's quite a bit of discussion that will be brought, I'd like to call a 5-minute recess, and we'll come back. Can I have a motion for that? Do I need a motion?
No.
Can I just call it?
You can
I
call it.
just call it.
Just call it.
Having everybody back, considering our time element, we'll review.
We're gonna call to order.
I was, even I got my opportunity to bang it, and I just kind of tapped it.
Yeah, you need to.
I need to bang it.
All right, let's go.
If we could, it was just kind of brought to my attention, and I suppose it's just an oversight on my part. This week we had one of our employees from Parkview pass away, Gloria Despiny. She was Mrs. Pilkington's mother, Parkview secretary, and Gloria served as one of our lunchroom supervisors for 9 years. I believe it was 9 years. And her funeral is in visitation or tomorrow.
11.
So at
11.
11 o'clock?
Visitation at 10.
What's that?
Visitation at 10.
Visitation at 10, funeral at 11?
Is
Okay.
it here locally at
Yes.
Preston?
Yes.
Okay.
And it was just asked if we would take a moment of silence at this time to recognize Ms. Despiny's passing. So if we could. Thank you for that recognition of one of our own, and we should continue. H4.
H for our motion, please.
I make a motion to approve the 8th grade field trip to Six Flags, St. Louis.
Mrs. Troop? The trip is coming.
The trip is coming, good, yeah.
All right, good laugh. And Mrs. Cagle, seconded. Communication from the board.
Linda, you look like you want to say something.
I do, but I'm not, so it's
You want to
okay.
add a date to it? But it says tentatively, so we
Yeah.
don't know for sure, so we're just gonna approve it.
I would like to ask how many chaperones we have going this year.
Okay.
Mr. Jokish, how many chaperones do we have going? One for each child,
Typically, we take 4 teachers.
for a number of,
For roughly around 45 students usually. The numbers are fluctuating right now. If there was more, we'd possibly take more. If there's less, we may take less.
okay, we'll keep a ratio of no less than 10 to 1.
Okay?
After the rumor of what happened last year, how have we remedied that situation?
It was a situation where a child, sibling, was consulted instead of the chaperone going direct to the parent, if you'll recall. And I would hope that even though they're siblings, they
I'll be
don't
going
always.
this year.
You're gonna be the one that
So-
would communicate direct
Yes.
to a parent if, okay. Knowing siblings sometimes have misunderstandings themselves.
And at that night, Mr. Jokish and I, when they came back last year, my expectation is that if a student gets on the bus to go to Six Flags, they get on the bus to come home to Six Flags. I don't care if their mom and dad is sitting there pitching a fit in front of all of the chaperones. The expectation is you go down on the bus, you come back on the bus.
Yeah, that's what we have.
Okay, it's the
to
only,
Yep.
good, it's the only way we have accountability.
Yeah.
Bus is not leaving.
So, and the bus did not leave, well, I don't want to go into the whole story. So,
Head count
that
will be
is,
needed then.
that was the expectation that was expressed.
Head count.
Yeah, multiple head counts.
And on the permission slip, it used to say that they had to return on the bus. I don't know if it does anymore or not, but you might want to consider that. So that
Yeah.
the parents know when they sign off on it,
That's good.
they will have to come home on the bus.
That's good, because they do have a full explanation that they do send out, so if it's not on there, that's a good idea.
So you said 10 to 1,
Yes, ma'am.
you're holding to that? I like that.
Why wouldn't I?
It's great.
Okay.
Although I didn't know, sometimes it's hard to tell when you're joking and
Oh.
when you're serious.
Okay, I'm
So
very
I
serious.
wanted to-
No, when it comes to student safety, there isn't any,
Okay.
there's no need to be, humorous at all. 10 to 1 is for a junior high setting, that is a good ratio. Now, those 10 kids aren't gonna be tied to that chaperone and lassoed together. It is a closed park, these are junior high kids, they do get some freedom and responsibilities, otherwise, why would you even wanna go? If I sit next to Mr. Jokish as an 8th grade girl on the roller coaster, it's really no fun for me to go to Six Flags. So we will give, we will give them,
He might scream.
he might scream like a
I've
girl.
heard he likes to ride roller coasters.
Julie's like, I'll
yeah.
go with them.
So,
No.
Thank you. I
what
don't
is
do
the
roller coasters.
count,
You don't?
expected count of the students?
He said 45.
Did you say 45?
45
I
right
expect
now?
about 50, probably.
Okay. So that's right on target.
We try to give individuals as much time as possible to, we have kids who were sold candy bars, but they didn't sell as many as they needed to, so maybe they still owe money, and we'll have a cutoff date here very soon where that's it.
There's still behavioral expectations that need to be met from now until the trip cutoff, so.
We typically have at least one new student who we try to accommodate and say, okay, it's
Yeah.
April, we're going to this trip in May, we'd like you to be part of it.
Mr. Jokish, remind me again how much it is for one child?
$70. A big portion of that's the bus transportation cost, chartering. The
Yeah.
ticket itself is
They're
like $30, where per individual, where the bus is roughly $40 per individual.
And what do you have in place? You're there, what, 7 hours, 5
We
hours?
typically, we'll leave Parkview around 6:30 a.m., so we try to arrive there a little bit before the park opens. We try to arrive a little bit early. Sometimes there's traffic and weather and that type of thing. And then the park closes at 5, so we start to meet up around 4:30. By that time, usually everybody's about spent. And then we stop at Litchfield on the way home, and there's 3 different restaurants they can go to. There's a McDonald's, a Wendy's, and there's something else. And kids can choose, and we say you've got an hour, and then we're back on the bus, and typically home by 9.
Okay. Expectation of your sponsors during that 9 hours. How many times, as Mrs. Bailey mentioned, numerous check-ins, what's your expectation that you're gonna give to your sponsors?
With students, we tell them they have to stay in groups. That's the main thing. And this is a school-only function where it's only schools and school officials. There's no outside parties. So we arrive at 10. We typically say, if you need us, meet us here at the fountain at 1 o'clock if you need anything. I've never had any individual who came to the fountain, at least when I've been there. It's always been very smooth. And then at 4:30 when we meet, we get everybody back together. We do a head count and get on the bus. And
I believe this incident that happened, and I'll just be quite frank, was the child was left behind from her group. And so she was not part of the group any longer. So that might be something you'll need to consider, and when maybe they need to come back at 1, everybody, what time you gave them, and everybody checks in to make sure the well-being of all children.
And we've talked about that. The reason we don't, if you've been waiting in line for the screaming table for 45 minutes, and then, I have to get out of line,
But you have a number of
I guess you can have a
sponsors.
time frame.
Yeah, you have a number of sponsors, so if that happens and you don't get your head count, then a sponsor stays there until, or the sponsors go out and find that child.
If you ride the train, it works pretty well. The train covers almost the whole park,
Okay.
and you can spot the kids.
And I think it's a good idea,
Yeah,
a
it is.
time frame between 1 to 1:30 that every child will check in. I mean, so if you're sitting in line, of course you don't wanna, if you're sitting in line for a ride that's, you've been in line for 30 minutes, of course you don't wanna leave. But the ride only takes a minute, so they could get back to the fountain within,
Well, yeah,
You know,
you
that
could give them
time.
an hour,
So,
Or
am I hearing board members volunteering to be chaperones?
I will volunteer to be a chaperone.
All right,
I don't have a problem with that.
that's great.
6 Flags.
What day do you go?
May 15th.
tentative.
And that's a Saturday.
No, it's Friday. Friday,
It's
May
a
15th.
Friday.
As I'm leaving for Washington DC the next day.
No, you
Yes, I can. Watch me. I'll chaperone. I mean, I think it's a good idea that within an hour that every child, you see every child at least once that day.
I have a daughter that's going, and I really wish you wouldn't.
Sorry.
know your daughter.
I don't know your daughter, what she looks like, though.
I think
You
it's-
could be a chaperone.
No, I don't want to, because my daughter's going. I would like her to have a good time. I
One
don't
that
want her to
don't know us.
spend.
I just don't wanna lose a child.
Just
That's
one
the main
time to
thing.
check in one, do you think it's too much to check in one time the whole day?
Well, and the issue wasn't you
It's
didn't
worked
lose,
for so long.
you didn't lose a child. You just had a child that was not included, and so her well-being, her emotional well-being was, she was crying most of the morning because they had left her. So,
I think as she was with her sister that they weren't.
not until after she had been
Okay.
crying for a couple hours.
We learn from our mistakes, we move forward, and we do better this year.
And that's just why,
And that's why he's planning.
if they're there as chaperones, I believe that it would be wise to make sure the well-being, emotional well-being is going well.
I think that's why Grant's going this year.
Yes, that's what he said.
Yeah, he's
So
a
let's
father.
let him do it.
He's a father and a potential board member, so.
Stay out of it.
He's the one that said when board members
He was
all-
kidding. That was him kidding.
But we don't know when he's kidding or it's
And I'm
not.
telling you, he was kidding.
Okay, can we have a roll call? I don't think, I mean,
And those are suggestions, not, board hasn't said you have to do that. That's just suggestions, possible suggestions. All right, roll call, please.
Linda Bailey.
Aye.
Pam Griner.
Aye.
Brenda Cagle.
Aye.
Val Reagan.
Aye.
Julie Troop.
Aye.
Rebecca Kern. Aye. Judy Strong.
Yes.
Motion carried.
H5, motion, please.
I make a motion to approve the service agreement with Stratus Networks, Inc. as presented.
And a second?
I second.
Thank you.
I presented the board with Mr. Wendelin's 3 different vendors for our enhanced internet services. We are in the middle of our E-rates. The E-rate program is a federal program that gives us discounts on internet service. This year, it also includes phone service, but that's being phased out. So that's something that will be talked about later on as that starts to happen. But right now, we receive, because of our demographics, we receive about 80% discount for our internet service. As we know, we were listed by the State Board of Education as being partially capable for our online park testing. There's no indication that this is going away. As a matter of fact, we're going to be testing 3 times next year. 3 or 2? 2 or 3? 2. 2. We have MAP 3 times. So we will have park testing twice on the online system. So what we need is a greater pipeline of internet service into our school district. Mr. Wendelin went out and he contacted AT&T, he contacted Windstream, and he contacted Stratus Networks. He is recommending to us that we enter into a service agreement with Stratus Networks under the new E-rate discount. This price will give us 150 meg somethings of bandwidth, which is 3 times what we have now, which will give us the capacity for our technology upgrades to be able to have a faster internet, faster service, faster turnaround times and refresh times on our machines for the testing. It is desperately needed, and this will also incorporate, once we have the wires run, but that will also help our wireless network throughout the LaSalle building as well. So the service agreement through the Stratus Networks, they're a local company, he tells us, and you can see that they put the price on this thing.
$1,650 per month. The Stratus agreement.
Sorry. Oh, there it is, okay, proposal. There you go, recurring monthly charges. Thank you, Ms. Reagan. Pricing information. Monthly recurring charges, $1,650 per month. This is a 3-month service, minimum service term, and that is Mr. Wendelin's recommendation to us. He has recommended Stratus over the other networks to his other clients, and that seems to be where most of his school clients are going. So other than that, that's really all the information that he's given me.
Okay, so this is primarily for the park testing only then?
No, ma'am, this is the internet. This is our bandwidth.
Right, I understand that, but you
Right.
said it's due, the park test is what's forcing it, is that right?
Our technology uses for instructional services in the classroom necessitates having the ability to get to the internet in fast enough speeds that we're able to use it effectively in the classroom instructional setting. Park testing is also a part of that, yes. So is
Because I don't
map
know what
testing.
the instructional plan to use the computers are, because we haven't got that plan yet. So I don't know if you intend for every student to have a netbook again, or.
All I'm asking for is Stratus Network.
I understand that.
Okay.
But it plays into it. How are we gonna use this?
From what I've
On a
heard.
daily use.
From what I've heard, it's, for example, the science fair children. They get on the internet to be able to research their project, be able to put in data, be able to log in information. Some of these kids don't have computers at home, so the only time they get to do it is during their classroom. If it takes them 20 minutes to get logged in and get on and get, then the class is over.
Right.
And then boom, they have no time to do their homework or their project. So that's what I've,
And that may be a
been told.
bandwidth problem, it may also be a computer problem, I don't know. But with the E-rate, are you saying we would only pay 20% of this then?
No, that is our, that is our 20%.
Yeah. Okay, is E-rate guaranteed for the 3 years of this contract?
Yes.
We would continue getting it?
On a annual basis, we reapply, and this is a federal government program. So this government, this current administration is very committed to E-rate. It's been a program that's been in place for 16, 17 years now. I don't think it's going away. What they are doing, though, is the Federal Communications Commission is phasing out, and this is just all detail, but the FCC is phasing out the E-rate discounts for our telephone systems. Right now, we receive an 80% discount on our long-distance telephone and telephone networks. All right, so we don't pay a lot of money to AT&T, even though our bills come in at $2,200 a month. We don't pay AT&T very much because of the E-rate discount. Well, the FCC is saying that the telephone service doesn't give instructional services to the kids. That's an administrative. That doesn't have much to do with education. So the FCC is making a change, and over the next 5 years, they're phasing out the telephone portion of the E-rate, and they are channeling that on a percentage, because they're not going to put all that money back into the internet E-rate. They're going to funnel some of that off for other programs, but the FCC is making fundamental changes, phasing out over the next 5 years at 20% a year your phone service discounts and channeling that money to the internet E-rates. So for the next 5 years, I think we're pretty solid in our 80% discount on the E-rates.
I just want to make sure, if we're going to spend $19,000 a year on just the bandwidth, not talking anything else, that it's going to improve our child's education. We've done technology before, and without a plan on how you're going to use this daily, it didn't help increase their scores at that time.
Well, and I think that we probably should have done this before even getting the netbooks. Because, go down and try to take a map system, or even try to do anything that you would do at home on these computers. Because like when I help with the book fair, it's faster for me to print out the sheet, write it out, and take it to the office and fax it than it is to try to fill it out and email it from here. Because their internet is so slow. So just try to go and do anything that you normally do on your computers at home from these computers in this building, or at Parkview even.
Most of the kids at Parkview anyway are, they're using 4G on their cell phones, and they're passing around cell phones to do their research. So
And they're not supposed to have their cell phones at
that's.
school.
Yeah, I thought that was the policy, but the
But-
policy is the phones aren't supposed to be out, but.
And if we
That's
had a
what the
strict
reality is,
application
that
of
it's a
that,
joke.
then
So you
we'd
have to
have no
appreciate that
technology
with-
in our schools.
Okay, I have a question. This does not replace CivicNet, correct?
That is correct.
So we are still paying $1,892.43 for CivicNet,
That is,
in addition to $1,650 every month.
the CivicNet will go down because this will replace some of it, but not all of it, because we're still on their network and we're using their fiber cable. Okay, so it will go down, but it's not gonna replace it totally, so.
Okay, and then this, Stratus, I don't know anything about them. And.
That's why we have
compared to
Mr.
the other
Wendell.
two-
I don't know anything about them either.
The other two ones, it's a lot cheaper. But is it, do you know if we researched it, is it reliable? I mean, I don't
It's
want.
cheaper than the other two.
It is
Right,
cheaper than the
That's what I
other.
said, compared to the other two, it's a lot cheaper.
Well,
Yeah, it is.
$200 cheaper.
Well, one's-
AT&T is $18.75.
And the other one's 1960,
And
so that's 300 a month, so.
Yeah, I mean, that's
That's
money is
4,000 a
money.
year,
Right.
almost, not quite, but. So, I'm just saying, which I'm glad, but I'm just saying, is it reliable? Because I know one of these other ones we've had, and it's like.
Well, that's where we're going to screen with Mr. Wendell, because he's our technology guy, and we're gonna be pressing him as to, this is the
Okay,
one
I mean,
he
that's fine.
picked.
I just
We
wanna
have to
make sure
press
we
the
don't go with the
experts
cheapest
to
one
fix
that's not as
it. Yes.
reliable, is all I'm saying.
Well, one of his other schools use it.
He's in,
His
seems like
second-
lots of districts, so.
His second statement in his email to me is, Stratus is a local company that has agreements in place with other schools presently. They have great service from my experience. You know what?
He's our guy.
He's our guy.
Yep,
And
voted in there.
it's not really for me to go out and try to understand what Stratus and Windmere and AT&T fiber network cables do. It's Mr. Wendellin's job, and so that's what I'm bringing to you. And this is his recommendation.
And this is for your contract.
Yes, ma'am.
This alone is not gonna fix the problem, like Mrs. Greiner said. We've got to have new server, we've got to have lines, we've got to have computers of some
Well, I
kind,
guess this is at least a start.
as long as we follow through.
Well, this is a time-sensitive issue because of the E-rate applications.
Okay,
So,
that's why we would do it now instead of August when school starts. And
yeah, right.
because I'm thinking we could save 3 or 4 months if we wait till August, you know. But it's because of the E-rate.
The E-rate, and we have to be in a contract in order for this contract to be approved by the FCC and through the E-rate, yeah. Yep.
Another short window of opportunity.
Roll call.
Linda Bailey,
Aye.
Pam Garner,
Aye.
Brenda Cagle, Val Reagan,
Aye.
Julie Troop,
Aye.
Rebecca Kern, aye, Judy Strong.
Yes,
Motion carried.
thank you. Motion please for discussion for the school calendar.
Make a motion to approve the 2015-2016 public school calendar as presented.
Thank you, Mrs. Cagle. A second. I'll bring the second. Table discussion. We've had discussion on it, so, but I know there was,
There is a change
okay.
from the original tentative calendar. There's a revision, proposed revision for changing to a full-day parent-teacher conference day on October 22nd, rather than a half-day of student attendance with conferences to follow. That was a discussion from the Labor Management Committee, and surveys were sent out. The 6 or 7 surveys that were returned indicated that those those teachers preferred the process that we use now rather than the other process that I had envisioned. So we will go back to doing things the way we've always done them, and
Not a
you can
full
also-
day, not a full day.
Exactly. Well, no, it's going to be a full day parent-teacher conference day on October 22nd and October 23rd, just as we've always done.
Okay, where we had it as what? I guess we had a half a day.
On the 22nd only. Just in this year,
Okay,
just this year.
okay,
Previous years have been full day, correct?
Correct.
okay,
Last few years.
got it.
I'm still, I wish we wouldn't do the half-day sick days. I wish we would take full days. I'm not sure how much the children learn on a half a day. It causes problems with daycare. You know, if the parent is not gonna send their child to school all day, they have arrangements made. The half a day, I just think it causes problems. So at least next year, I realize it's too late to change this now, but I would like everybody to really give that some thought and maybe get some data. How many days are missed? How many parents do not send their students to school on a half a day? Now, what's our attendance rate on
I
these
think the
days?
attendance rate is a lot higher.
Oh, on half day?
Uh-huh, yeah. I know a lot of people don't send their kids to school on half days.
So I don't think by us doing this, it's helping the child.
Yeah. I know at the junior high, and I'm sure at the lower grades, it's probably even higher, because like you said, if you don't have daycare.
But you are given at least heads up about it. It's not like you don't know this is coming. You
It
know.
doesn't matter.
Yeah, but, well, I know,
Right.
it doesn't matter,
But-
but I'm just saying.
But I think there's limitations on how many, because I think I've discussed it before. Would you have to take less sick days?
Yes.
And so maybe that's our,
Then
and
how
a
much-
half day still counts as a day, right?
But it's what's best for the child.
And how much work is getting done amongst the teachers?
Well, you don't get any education on a half
On
day.
half a day,
No,
they're
you
in and
don't.
out, and
So why are we doing it?
So the discussion probably needs to take place between the principals, the teachers, and Mr. Aldridge at this point, and they could bring to us for consideration then on the next approval, as you mentioned.
Right.
But they're the ones that need to do the
Right.
data collection and say why they want to go half-day or why they want to go full days consideration, because you'll be on it next year, so.
I emailed Mr. Aldridge since the last board meeting and told him I had an issue with half day.
Right, right.
Full day, and that's fine. I mean, it was just a personal opinion.
Mhm.
Well, it's-
But
right
it's a
now,
good
this is for
idea
this
not to
calendar year,
change
right?
it
Paying to pick your kid up a little bit.
today. It's a good idea not to change this year.
I would change it, but that's okay.
Oh, I
Do
liked
whatever
your
you want
idea
to.
of not changing it this year.
Well, and I think in the past, we did have half days, and then we went to full days because the principals and the teachers said that they're not getting as much work as they would like to get done, because by the time the students are gone and they eat their lunch, it's only a couple hours and they go home themselves. So I think we had changed it to full days so that they could even get more work done and get more
But the
people in
point is them
conferences.
not getting work done, not doing their work in the class, you know, their classroom work. This is supposed to be for professional development and education for the teachers, not necessarily just offering time to, you're looking at me very confused.
I am, because I thought the SIP day was also for professional development with the teachers.
That's what I just said.
Oh, I thought you said it wasn't. And that's what I
You
meant, they're not
said,
getting.
you said they're not having time to do their work. and
That's
I'm
what I
saying-
meant, that work, the professional development, because by the time the kids are gone, by the time they eat their lunch, they go to professional development that
They'll
might
need
be
a
an hour and
lunch.
a half. They don't have enough time to really get into what they want to discuss and maybe work on a professional development activity.
I guess it depends on the
because-
professional development.
Exactly, that's what I
activity.
mean, that's why we went to whole day, because some of the activities they want to do.
And we have
They
to
needed more
remember
time.
that there are a lot of siblings in East Peoria High, so I would imagine that a lot of our SIP
They
days
don't have
line up
sick
with
days.
East
They don't
Peoria.
have sick
They
days.
don't.
They don't have SIP days.
They have late start day on Wednesdays, and
Oh,
then
okay.
the teachers.
So that
meet.
isn't
That
something that
teachers are given
happens.
that time
Okay,
in the morning.
No, we match the high school with our breaks, but the half-day school improvement times are put in here because you have to, there's a formula to this, that you have to bank a number of minutes before you can use a SIP day. You have to basically accumulate a number of instructional minutes in order to place a half day into this into the calendar, and a school improvement full day is not it's not an option under the calendaring system. It is a half day. Now, what the discussion was at the district leadership team, and the discussion of the district leadership team was whether, you know, the SIP days were placed on Fridays, and whether or not that was more appropriate, or if maybe a different time or a different day was more appropriate. There are some school districts that do them on Wednesdays. I don't know that that matters that much, but in order for us to expect teachers to impact student learning, we have to give them the time to learn. There are things that are changing in education, and being in your classroom day in, day out, and not having that time to learn those other instructional approaches and the other curriculum changes that are going on, we won't see student improvement or student success and achievement. So we have to build in that time. Full days just aren't an option for school improvement. There are 4 teacher in-service days that are full days. Those are different. Teacher in-service days, you'll see that we have 2 teacher in-service days at the beginning of the school year. We have a teacher in-service day contractually the day before the last student day. So that's 3. Where's the other one? November 3rd, the first Tuesday in November is our other teacher in-service day, full day, and that's when we collaborated with East Peoria Grade, East Peoria High School, Grade School, High School, and Robine and us. We all collaborated and had a speaker regarding student achievement and student growth this year on a full day basis. So we have those. They are a part of the calendar, but half-day school improvement days, you have to bank your minutes, instructional minutes, to build them up so that you have enough time to account for that half a day being missed by the students instructionally. And that's what we do.
So you cannot bank enough hours and take a full day.
It's not an option to do a full day SIP day. Teacher in-service days are full days. But
SIP days cannot be.
No. It's just not a coding option for us. State board doesn't recognize it.
Okay, I believe it's time for a roll call.
Oops, a roll call lady left. Oh, but you have to go to work?
Yeah, 8 o'clock.
Linda Bailey,
Aye.
Pam Griner,
Aye.
Brenda Cagle,
Aye.
Val Reagan,
Aye.
Julie Troop,
Aye.
Judy Strong.
Yes,
Motion carried.
thank you. Motion please for H7.
Make a motion to approve the purchase of 16 Chromebook computers from Bradfield's Inc.
don't you go ahead and put in the amount of, Mrs. Cagle?
Okay, in the amount of, where is it?
5,000 is on the,
$5,364, sorry.
Thank you. A second, please.
I second, sorry.
Thank
I
you.
think Linda should just make the motions, that way all the stuff's added the way she wants it added. I've said that for 4 years now.
Okay, discussion, please.
okay. As I've discussed a couple times, I had Mr. Wendela give us a breakdown of 4 different brands of Chromebooks. It was his recommendation that the school district is going to purchase new computers for the classrooms and the laboratories, that they be in the Chromebook format. I said that was fine, not my preference, but fine, so that it worked with our current system. But what we wanted after discussions with the principals and myself, what we wanted to do is to beta test a number of different types of Chromebooks to get an idea of the differences between the different models and brands. All right, now I asked Mr. Wendela to make sure that no matter what we purchased for our beta testing, that those machines would be able to be used in our upcoming upgrade and new system. He assures me that they will. So whatever, the 4 different brands that we purchase here, they will all be compatible with our upgraded system, and they'll be able to be used now. The reason that I feel it's important for us to look at different brands, like I said, is to get a feeling for how they are going to work in the classrooms. I could ask Mr. Wendela, okay, Jay, which one should we buy? And he could tell us, all right, you need to buy 100 HP Chromebook 14 G3s. And we could say fine. But if they haven't been used in the classrooms, by the kids, by the teachers, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me to do that, because we don't have any data on whether or not these are appropriate for our classrooms, whether or not they're rugged enough for our kids, whether or not they're comfortable for the teachers to use. This is a way to do a soft purchase of a number of machines to give us the opportunity to test them in the field and get the data and survey from the staff and the students as to which one of these 4 brands, Chromebooks, would be the best ones for us to purchase on a large-scale basis. So I had Mr. Wendela research us 4 different brands. He came up with the HP Chromebook 14G3, the Acer CB5311T9Y2, the Asus Chromebook, and the Toshiba Chromebook. Varying prices, as you can see, from $286 to $339. And then Google Chrome Management Console licenses, we would need 16 of those, because each Chromebook would need a Google Chrome management license as well. So that comes up to a total of $5,364. This is money that is that has been budgeted through our Title I grant equipment purchases. So this is already a purchase that is inside our budget currently. It's not outside of or using any of the bond sale money, bond revenue money. This is the money that we have right now that we received through Title I, and this is an appropriate purchase of instructional materials and equipment through this service, through that title service. So I'm asking or recommending to the board and asking that we purchase 16 Chromebook computers from Bradfield's to test them out with our kids.
Question? Okay, go ahead. I have one too, but we'll see if you handle it.
What is the ultimate plan then? To put one of these in each child's hand?
I don't know that we're set for a one-to-one situation right now, okay? We've been working with Mr. Wendland to try to figure out a configuration of how it should look between the two schools and how it should look for classroom and grade levels. Is it appropriate to have a one-to-one situation here? We're not convinced that it is. We are still looking at what it could look like. Mr. Wendell he's come to us with some things. We've sent him back and asked for more information and those kind of things. So at this point, it is I don't know, it's I guess it's premature to say exactly what the purchase is going to be, whether it's going to be, 600 computers or 200 computers at this point. We're trying to figure out what the best configuration is going to be for the money that we have, and to have a sustainability plan so that we're not faced in 5 years with computers that are phased out and breaking and falling apart like our netbooks. That's part of this as well, to build that in so that we know we have the money to replace these things and to upgrade and to have phase-ins and rollouts.
And
So
some of this testing will bring those results for you, which my question is, these 16, do you have directions of who's going to have them in their hand, what building, or?
8 in each building.
8 in each building,
Mhm.
and then what?
And then it's up to the principals to have the teachers fight over.
Oh, I think fun. And
You gotta figure out whether.
are they going to be purchased
I'm sorry.
right away then, is what you're asking for this school year?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And I'm sorry, Julie.
I said, that's a way for them, for the teachers and for the buildings to be able to figure out which one's gonna work the best.
Right.
And I would, okay, never mind, that would work.
2 of each kind in each building.
Right.
Yep. 2 of each kind in each building, for 8 in each building, to be, distributed out however the building principals want to devise their plan. At this point, I would like to have enough time left in the school year that each teacher has some time with each of the brands. I don't know if we have enough time, but that's the expectation.
And Mr. McCormick has given me a signal he'd like to have a comment.
One of the things Mr. Jokish and I have also talked about is we still have another round of part testing, with
that's
app
right.
testing, and we want to make sure we put them through the paces, so to speak, with those tests,
Okay.
as well as getting them into the teachers' hands, so we know how they're going to work under all sorts of situations.
Awesome.
I have a question too. Since we approved the extra bandwidth, when will that be in place? It needs to be in place before this testing, or it's not gonna give you a valid test.
That's a good point. I'll have to, it's my understanding that all they have to do is flip the right switches to make this happen, the service agreement from Stratus, because we already have all of the fiber and everything to the buildings. It's just a matter of them hooking us up to their routers and networks. So I imagine that can be done, by the end of the week or next week. Yeah, good point.
So does these books come preloaded with the programs that they need? I mean, it's not gonna every program, but like just basic like Microsoft Word, things like that, or are we gonna have to buy?
No, these are Chromebooks.
So we're gonna have to buy extra licensures for programs?
We will need some computers that do those basic computer functions, but these are Chromebooks for use in the classrooms, mostly research. It's on the web, it's on the internet, it's instructional, right, exactly. It's for the teachers to use to go out to the different websites and to use in the classroom for,
Free available apps.
for the applications that are out there, and it's web driven. So no, they don't run any kind of preloaded programs. Yeah.
Mr. McCormick?
One of the other benefits of the Google platform is that there is the equivalent of Microsoft Word, Excel in Google Docs.
Right.
And I know there's a number of Google schools that have gone to that, where kids are able to do all those same things using that free software that's out there, in turn submitting papers that they write just via email. Now, I don't think we're doing that at this school, but 7th and 8th grade may be doing that, and it's all works seamlessly together at no extra cost.
Good questions, good conversation. Roll call, please.
Linda Bailey,
Aye.
Shan Griner,
Aye.
Brenda Cagle,
Aye.
Val Reagan,
Aye.
Julie Troop,
Aye.
Judy Strong.
Yes,
Motion carried.
thank you.
Oh, she's absent.
Yeah. H8 motion.
Which one do we say? Which one do we decide? We have to decide what we're gonna do, right? Do we
I'll
have
make the
to-
motion to approve the purchase of hardcover covers for the 8th grade promotion certificates in the amount of $779.
And 26 cents without shipping and handling.
Right.
Not to
Start
exceed
somewhere.
$9,000.
Right. Just
Kidding, Miss
yeah,
Bailey?
No, not to exceed $900.
I don't think it's going to be anywhere.
Okay.
Second.
All right. Now we can discuss.
So do you want not to exceed?
Not to exceed $900.
Thank you. All right, we need a second,
Who
please.
seconded that?
Did. Thank you. Did not hear that. Mrs. Griner, thank you.
Do they need them?
It doesn't matter if they need them. I look at it, it's $1 a kid per grade year. That's the only thing we give them for academics. We put so much money into sports and everything else. So if you think it's $12 per kid, that's $1 a year. I mean, it's $9 per kid, it's $1 a year per grade. Why not purchase it? I mean, that's just my feeling. I mean,
I just graduated from SIU and with a master's for a 3-year program that I invested lots of money in, and they sent it in an envelope. So
I agree, and when I got my master's, I bought my cover. I totally understand for U of I. So you think, spending $40,000 for a.
Well, does an 8th grader really care whether it's in a hardcover or
That's
whether
another
they
good
get it in a white envelope?
Maybe the parents care that spend a lot of money.
Parents might care, but
Right.
I'm just saying.
I'm just saying, what do we
this
do for sports? How much money are we spending on sports a year?
We go through the whole graduation ceremony, let's do it right. Spend a couple more dollars on the hardcover. Something that hopefully they will keep a long time. Yep, let's do roll call.
We didn't blink an eye at $5,364. I mean, talking not to exceed 900. I guess put it in perspective.
Okay, I'm hearing roll call then.
Linda Bailey,
Aye.
Ken Greiner,
Aye.
Brenda Cagle,
Aye.
Val Reagan,
Aye.
Julie True,
No.
Judy Strong.
I'll say aye simply because it might not be as easily lost through the years. Okay,
Motion carried.
thank you. We need a motion for executive session, please.
We got board communications, right?
Oh, I'm sorry. I wanted to jump over that.
There was no correspondence from the Board of Education, to the Board of Education. And-
Except,
Sorry.
can I just make an announcement? I'm sorry, I should have done this at the beginning, but I just want to let District 76 know that East Peoria High School welcomed 48 students to the National Honor Society last week, 3 of which graduated from Parkview.
Hey.
So, I don't have permission to announce their names, so I would, but I personally think maybe we should reach out and invite them back, maybe, to kind of
For
just
awesomeness.
do a little awesome thing with them, yeah, I don't know, just me.
Suggestion.
If you can get Mr. Jokish
I can get the names.
names,
I know.
then we can try to arrange something, sure. I mean,
Okay.
that's great, that's great.
Yeah.
And those are the kids that we need to make sure we're honoring and
That's right.
and lifting up, so that's great. IASB dinner results. Ms. Cagle. I
It
know
went
I-
really well.
We got wonderful emails from
Very well
various
attended.
people. that talked
Pace
about how
did a wonderful
it was.
job, our school did a wonderful job, putting it up and together and clean up, and teachers did a phenomenal job. Just, helping, because we had some teachers that helped, and the students, did their singing presentation, and I thought it turned out great, so.
It did. We received a lot of, as said, a lot of numerous comments thanking us for hosting, for thanking us for the menu, since it was a taste of outdoors with the barbecue. Had a picnic feel to it, and people appreciated that on such a cold and dreary evening. And just for the record and the minutes, the cost was completely covered by the attendance. We had over 95 individuals attend, and that covered all of the catering, all of the food, and the paper, and ice, and cups, and plastic, and everything. Didn't pay for the lights, or the air conditioning, or the heater, but it paid for everything that was purchased, so at no cost really to the district.
Did we reimburse any of the candidates that prepaid theirs yet?
I would have to check with Ms.
I didn't see it in
Cornwell.
the check.
I don't think we had the
I just
Okay.
paid check.
I can put that in there to check.
Mrs. Cagle, I confirm, you did an awesome job. And our PACE group was awesome in support. We had a number of them come out, six of them?
Yeah, I think that's 6 of them.
And they stood the gap and helped serve and prepare things to set out on the tables. If you were there, there was a few here that are candidates, and if you were there, one reason we can say it was a success is because people were engaging and talking. We had a lot of communication going on, lots of smiles, lots of people just happy to hang around and talk. So I confirm, wonderful job, thank you. Now, are we ready for a motion?
I
Make the motion, we enter into executive session for appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the public body and collective negotiating matters between the public body and its employees or representatives.
Thank you. And Mrs. Griner is seconding that.
Sure. We can do that.
And
10 minutes.
Break. Before we start.
10-minute break, but we need roll call, please.
Linda Bailey,
Aye.
Pam Griner,
Aye.
Brenda Cagle,
Aye.
Val Reagan,
Aye.
Julie True,
Aye.
Judy Strong.
Yes. And
Motion carried.
that will be at 8:23, is that right? We need a motion, please, to return to regular session.
Make the motion, we resume regular session.
Second.
At 10, I don't even, I can't see it.
10:27.
Sure.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Linda Bailey,
Aye.
Pam Griner,
Aye.
Brenda Cagle,
Aye.
Val Reagan,
Aye.
Julie True,
Aye.
Judy Strong.
Yes,
Motion carried.
thank you. We need a motion for L2, please.
Make a motion to place individuals on the substitute drivers list. Kathleen Kern and Amanda Hartnett.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Griner. Mrs. Cagle. Any discussion from the table? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Linda Bailey,
Aye.
Pam Griner,
Aye.
Brenda Cagle, Val Reagan,
Aye.
Julie True,
Aye.
Judy Strong.
Yes,
Motion carried.
thank you. We need a motion, please, for L3.
I make the motion to adopt Resolution 15-03, Creve Coeur School District 76, resolution of non-renewal of first-year certified staff. Whereas the teacher hereinafter set forth is not completing his final year of probationary teacher service with Creve Coeur School District 76 during the 2014-15 school term, and whereas the Board of Education has determined that the teacher shall not be reemployed for the 2015-2016 school term, now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Education of Creve Coeur School District 76, Tazewell County, Illinois as follows. Section 1, that Stephen Hubie shall not be reemployed for the next school term, and accordingly that his present contract of employment shall terminate at the close of the present school term in conformance with the notice which attached hereto and made a part of hereof as Exhibit 1. Section 2, that the President and Secretary of the Board of Education are hereby authorized and directed to send the teacher specified above a written notice of this board's decision not to reemploy said teacher by certified mail. Return receipt requested at least 45 days before the end of the present school term, which notice shall be substantially in the form of an exhibit attached hereto. Section 3, that the superintendent or his designee shall personally deliver a copy of said notice to the teacher. This resolution shall be in full force and in effect forthwith upon its passage.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Bailey. Mrs. Griner. Communication from the board table. Hearing none, roll call, please.
Linda Bailey,
Aye.
Pam Griner,
No.
Brenda Cagle,
Aye.
Val Reagan,
No.
Julie True,
Aye.
Judy Strong.
Yes.
Motion carried.
We need a motion, please, for L5.
I make the motion to accept the letter of intent to retire from Kay Aldridge and Margie Graffis with regrets.
I second.
Thank you, Mrs. Bailey. Mrs. Cagle. Communications at all? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Linda Bailey,
Aye.
Pam Griner,
Aye.
Brenda Cagle,
Aye.
Val Reagan,
We have to let him go?
Aye.
Julie True,
Aye.
Judy Strong.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. We need a motion, please, for L6.
I make the motion to adopt resolution of honorable dismissal, whereas the educational support staff employees hereinafter set forth are to be honorably dismissed as a result of a decision of the Creve Coeur School District 76 Board of Education, Tazewell County, Illinois, to decrease the number of educational support personnel employees. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Education of Creve Coeur School District 76, Tazewell County, Illinois, as follows. Section 1, that Stan Engel, bus driver. Section 2, Lydia Thousand, educational assistant. Section 3, Wilma Schulman, educational assistant. Section 4, Margaret Schoneman, educational assistant. Section 5, that Linda Timberlake, educational assistant. And Section 6, Christine Allen, educational assistant, shall be honorably dismissed effective the end of the current school year. That the President and Secretary of the Board of Education are hereby authorized and directed to send each educational support staff personnel employee named above a written notice of the Board's decision to honorably dismiss the educational support personnel employee by regular mail and also either by certified mail or return receipt requested or personal delivery with receipt at least 30 days before the end of the school term. A copy of the notice is attached here too as Exhibit A. Section 8, that the superintendent or designee shall personally deliver the notice to each educational support staff personnel named above. This resolution will be in full force and effect upon passage and supersedes any previous resolution regarding the subject matter herein.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Griner and Mrs. Bailey. Board communication. Hearing none, roll call, please.
Linda Bailey,
Aye.
Pam Griner,
Aye.
Brenda Cagle, Val Reagan,
Aye.
Julie True,
Aye.
Judy Strong.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. We need a motion to adjourn.
I make the motion we adjourn.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Bailey and Mrs. Griner. That will be at 10:33. Roll call, please.
Linda Bailey,
Aye.
Pam Griner,
Aye.
Brenda Cagle,
Yes.
Val Reagan,
Aye.
Julie True,
Aye.
Judy Strong.
Yes.
Motion carried.